The context of Safari Retreat Supreme Court decision was to where that it challenged the constitutional validity of this both the section 17 5C and 17 5D, both the clauses has been clarified, saying that it is non-constitutional and this needs to be struck down. Now, what are the issues which was framed by the Supreme Court for consideration? First, they wanted to examine whether plant and machinery and plant or machinery is one and the same, or you need to treat it separately. If it has to be treated, the what would be coming within the meaning of plant is the second question they wanted to answer, and whether C and D of section 17.5 and section 16.4 is So very important, the analysis of the Supreme Court. This is coming under para 32, which will be very, very important. This is not part of the summary of the discussion which has been coming, but this is a very important para which for us to understand, because it gives out the exception where the ITC can be given. So first the Supreme Court observed that section 17.5 carves out an exception to the provision for 16.1 and will, which will confirm the benefit. So 17.5 is an exception for a benefit. So this is the observation which was been made. And they told there are two exceptions to section D to the exclusion from the ITC provided in the first part of clause D. So there are two exception to the exclusion which has been there. So what they say that for the restriction rather, it says the first exception is that the goods or services are received by a taxable person to construct an immovable property consisting of a plant or a machinery. So if it is used for construction of plant or machinery, it falls under an exclusion, and that means it will be eligible for taking the input tax credit. They also told the second exclusion is that immovable property not made for his own account. So if it is not for his own account, you could take a credit. If it is a plant or machinery, you can take the credit. They further also analyzed and told construction is said to be on taxable person's own account when it is an own account sharing. That is, if I fall under this 1 and 2, I will not be eligible for the credit. If I am not falling under the 1 and 2, I will be eligible for credit. It says when it is made for his personal use. Services should pass the functionality test. Now, it is very important for us to understand what is functionality test. There is a large difference between a business expenditure and an expenditure which qualifies the functionality test. Business expenditure is all the expenditure which is essential for you to do the business. This is required for me to do a business. This is required for me to attract the customer. That is a business expenditure, but that need not qualify a functional test. Functional test is something which you cannot do if you are not taken this input tax credit. So that is an exception. That is a functionality test is that which becomes mandatory for me to do it. Then what is the way forward which we need to look at? One is that there could be a various scenario. One is all these days you have been advised to avail the credit and not to utilize because the decision is pending.